All right. Sorry about the delay, chat. I was just setting up some pings in Discord, and I know you all love getting pinged in Discord, and haven't been pinged enough today. Is everyone here? Can you hear me? Hello, hello, yes. You've all been summoned again. So, I'm assuming most of you are here from the server, or at least have heard of the devlog. If anyone here does not know what's going on, I just put out a devlog for the game that I've been working on for quite a while with my friend Toby. And I thought I'd just do a short stream, I guess as an addendum, in case people had questions, to show off the gameplay a bit more. We already had kind of this in Discord already. JD was streaming it, and I was in the voice call answering questions, but I figured it'll reach a different audience on YouTube potentially, so I should do a proper stream as well. I could just kind of get going here. I wonder if I can talk over this. I've never tried talking over RAM before. It's kind of a high brain usage game. It's the kind of game that makes Jerma talk about becoming a Mormon, you know? That's kind of the intent, design-wise. Yes, I am playing as a Wheelbot. Oh yeah, fun fact, the Toby I mentioned is not Toby Fox. It's a common misconception. I do not work with Toby Fox, unfortunately. Our Toby's alright though, he's pretty good. Ah, fuck, I missed it. Not Toby, big F. Irina's gonna make a Wheelbot plush. Dude, that's really cool to hear about people being so enthusiastic, but it's also... I can't help but have mixed feelings, because these character sprites are all stock assets. They're purchased. So really we don't even own these designs. Like, we're allowed to use them legally. We purchase the assets, but anyone else could make a game with these same assets, and we couldn't do anything about it. So they're not uniquely ours, which is, that bothers me. So we're trying to get those redesigned. We've already had a lot of artists approach us, believe it or not, on the... I mentioned in the devlog we're looking for artists to work with. We've had like a lot of emails already from those. I haven't even had a chance to look at them yet. As well as the one artist that we were working with before has resurfaced just a little bit before the devlog, so the information in the devlog about not having an artist at all is actually a little bit out of date. It was accurate at the time of writing it. Up until like a week before I think it was published. But yeah, we're still looking for artists. We need to kind of distribute the workload, I think, because we can't rely on anyone, you know, working for us full time. You don't have the budget to just hire someone outright like that. It would have to be more of like a... We'd have to arrange it on a per client basis, I guess, but I guess we're looking at more like a pay-per asset kind of deal. Was the music stock? Nope, this is original music. And actually this music that's playing now dates back from the jam build from like a year, like 2 years ago almost, probably. So this is old music, but it's kind of a jam, and we're working with the same guy again to get some additional tracks. So there's a lot of... This whole year of development, it's really just been me and Toby. And even that, like, I've really been only the one programming it a lot of the time, because Toby is still in school and he's been busy with co-ops and stuff, so... it's more recently, like the last month or so, Toby's taken a more active role in doing the programming. Because I was more busy with the devlog, and he's done a really quite amazing job of keeping up with that while also doing his like programming co-op for school, which I'm really impressed by. But yeah, it's kind of just been like a super micro team so far, so we're just now getting into like working with some musicians and sound effects guys and now artists, which is exciting. So the project's been very light on assets so far, is what I'm trying to say. Which you can probably tell. Oops, I think I accidentally countered that guy's grenade. That's always cool when that happens. I love countering the grenade. I'm having a bit of trouble reading chat here with all this shit going on. Will there be a fishing minigame? None planned yet. It's easy. It's lovely to have like all these ideas for whimsical minigames and stuff, but I find it's sort of a death sentence to start really thinking about that stuff when the game is so early in development. Like, you'll get distracted and never make any progress, so... I can't even as a joke consider the fishing game now. Not even as a bit, I'm sorry. I'd love to be just a Hakita and put in like fucking dating simulators for no reason, but we're gonna need to be further along before we get into that. Would there be Morbius? No, I don't think so. We have a strong basis. That's what I was hoping to show off. What I'm playing right now is not RAM, it is the combat demo of RAM. The actual game is going to be like a room-based roguelike, sort of more like Enter the Gungeon, I guess, where the combat's going to be much more structured and have some actual design put in. Right now it's just like an endless horde mosh pit type thing. So, not as interesting as either of us want it to be. But it does at least give you some insight into, like, the very base level what combat looks like from second to second. Which is what most of the work's been put into so far, so it's important to show that off, I think. Shit. The Wheelbot dating sim's gonna be hype. I hope we get there one day. By the way, Toby, he might be on the call at some point to co-commentate. I think he kind of left to go do something just as I was like eating breakfast though, and we may have miscommunicated somewhat, so I'm not sure when he's going to be around. I like the funny slappy chain guy. I like him too. The chainbot's probably my favorite. It's probably the hardest character to use. Like, it takes a while to get used to like aiming the launch. But it's very fun when you get it to work. Works really well at close range too. Hester Quest type game for the villains. People sure are wacky with these ideas. That's how you use the the shotgun effectively, by the way. It's all about alternating between melee and shooting. That's how you get the good DPS. Oh, is this a... Yeah, this is a mini-boss. The way the demo is set up here is that these mini-bosses will occasionally spawn, and if you possess them, then you your evolution level goes up, which is like a global upgrade to every enemy type. Something like that will probably carry over into the final roguelike version. It just will be based on something other than time. Toby was saying that, like, unfortunately, because the mini-bosses spawn in the timer, there is no way to speedrun the demo currently, which is a flaw in my eyes. Ah, fuck off. There you go. If you get grappled by the chainbot, sometimes the best answer is just to become the chainbot, and then you have an instant grappled enemy. Okay, I've grappled him. Shit, I had to possess the broken one. Will it have funny bosses? Yep, it will have bosses. We've actually designed a working boss. Oh fuck, look at that fucking... That bug is ridiculous. That was only appeared recently. And we think it may be like an engine bug with the particle system. We're using a beta engine currently, Godot 4.0 beta 10. And the particle system has had issues, and that may be on the engine side, but we're not sure yet. I'm playing on the debug version, so the build version that we've exported for the Patreon demo actually crashes a lot more than this, because the debug version can absorb errors and keep going, whereas in the actual build it would just crash, so the game is actually less stable than it appears. I have to make a disclaimer about that. But it's very early on, and we just kind of slapped the demo together to show off for the devlog, really, so it was kind of rushed, to be honest. Get deflected, noob. Get out of here. That's something I want eventually... Oh, fuck. I hate when that happens. in the final version of the game, you should never die like that. Getting just no enemies on screen so you can't swap, that's bullshit. That's like a bug as far as I'm concerned, that can happen. Let's look at chat for a second here. If you can upgrade the different vessels you inhabit and swap between, does that mean the enemies get those upgrades as well? No, the upgrades only apply when you control the enemies. With a little bit of a grace period, there's about, I think, 1 or 2 seconds after you swap away from an enemy where the enemy will continue doing the last input you entered and retain the upgrades. So you can, for example, there's an upgrade for the Flamebot that makes its death explosion like 3 times bigger. If you self-destruct with the Flamebot and swap out before it explodes, then it will still explode with your upgrade because of that grace period, which is useful for a multitude of reasons. Do enemies have elemental resistances? Kind of. The Flamebot is unique in that it doesn't take damage from fire attacks, it instead goes into its overheat meter. So that's kind of an elemental resistance, but it's in some ways it's actually more vulnerable to fire, because if it's already close to overheat, then it only takes like a little bit of extra fire damage to push it over the edge. Enemies are very vulnerable to that currently, because they'll overheat themselves like to the limit and then stop firing, so if you hit them with 1 flame bullet, then they explode. Fuck this. If you upgrade the Flamebot, then change to another guy, and change the Flamebot again, do you retain it? You only control one enemy at a time ever. I just mean there's a grace period. After you swap, the enemies don't retarget you for like 1 second, and the enemy that you used to control still follows your last input. That's what I meant. You can see the more I focus on answering chat questions, the worse my gameplay becomes here. Classic. Shoot me, do it now. Nice. There's a bit of a nuance to the way it works here. It's like, the idea is to swap out just before you die, so if you die you can still swap, but it penalizes, the yellow bar goes up much more if you swap after dying versus before dying, so it's a big difference whether you swap in time to avoid death, or you just swap to avoid the already dying body you're trapped in. There's probably some reason for that in the lore. I'll think of it later. Lamau, get possessed. The Wheelbots are weak enough that you can usually one-shot them with a grapple launch, even without juggling first. It's good to keep in mind that the Wheelbots are sort of glass cannons. Fuck, wall collisions busted. You hate to see it. What's this lag? That would be on... fuck again. That's a sign of, like, poor map design, basically, on our part. The lag would be stream aside. The game is not lagging for me. Oh my god. Fucking Wheelbot gank over here. In the first version of the Patreon demo we put out, actually, the Wheelbots were bugged and were firing twice as fast as they were supposed to, which made it a bit harder, and it took me a while to figure out why, so we've released a patched version of the demo now with that and some other bugs fixed. Literal day 1 patch. You can deflect the bullets with melee, by the way. Always fun. Especially with the grenades, like holy shit. Kind of hard to do with the grenades, because they kind of follow inconsistent arcs. And of course you get a score bonus for doing that. Anything in this game that you feel cool for doing, I've sort of made it my task to give it an explicit score bonus. I think that's the way that style system should work. Like, if I felt cool for doing it, it should have a score bonus. Regarding the bosses, are there ideas for how to migrate the irritating minion spam that a lot of bosses that summon minions are known for? Well, the bosses... Summoning minions summoning minions in the boss fights is for your benefit, because you could not survive without a constant flow of guys to churn through, actually. So actually the first boss, the only one that we've actually designed, and is unfortunately still broken, so I can't show it off, by the, we changed to a new engine build. But part of the challenge of that fight was making sure that you spawned enough ads that you could actually control them. Because otherwise you're left with no one to swap to and you die, right? So it's a bit of a different mindset when you control the enemies like this. The bosses themselves also have swap mechanics. You can control them, but you have to... it's sort of like in Bloodborne or something, where you have to like stun them first or parry them, and then you can swap into them as like a riposte. That's the compromise that we worked out, because it's cool to still control bosses. Check that out, by the way. If you time it right, you can sort of joust with the chain bots as they pull you in. Like you can smack them first before they can hit you. Fuck off, eh? So Super Mario Odyssey. I knew someone was going to compare it to Mario Odyssey. It's like Mario Odyssey if there was no Mario in the game. So it's just Odyssey, like Super Odyssey, I guess. In Mario, like, it has a swap mechanic, but most of the time you're just playing as Mario, which is a very different mindset than this, where there is no one except for the captures, I guess, if you're using the nomenclature for Mario. So basically every one of these guys has to be designed to the level of, I guess, Mario, to stick with the metaphor even further. There can't be any that are just gimmicks, because they all have to be playable and equally viable options in combat. What about the Swarm boss that didn't work out? Oh, it's not that it didn't work out. I mentioned that earlier in the Discord stream, I think. It's just that we never implemented it. Like, we have plans for bosses that we just haven't made yet. Because they're... bosses for later levels are lower priority until we actually make the levels, as you can probably understand, so... we had one boss for one level, essentially, but it unfortunately broke in the engine update. Yeah, you love the tug-of-war between chainbots? It's pretty funny. The chainbots, they get a bit too happy with their, like, spaghetti tangles right now if you spawn a lot. It's a goal of ours to... The AI is, it's still not perfect, like... I want the AI of the chainbots to be able to target you with grapple launches in the same way that you target other enemies, so... currently they'll only target you and try to smack you, but if they grapple an enemy by accident, I want them to then throw the enemy at you. Because that would be really funny. That was cool. The chain reactions with the flame bots are always fun. Shit. Are enemies specific to certain levels going to be a thing? Perhaps. In an earlier build, that was the way it worked. The only problem with that is it's sort of a balancing concern, because if you introduce an enemy in a later level, that means that you haven't been getting upgrades for the enemy the whole time. And by the way, I've been deliberately not using upgrades at all so far, because they're a whole can of worms by themselves. So they'll have to be, like, inherently stronger almost to make up for the fact that you won't have a chance to upgrade them. And also it seems like a shame to design a whole enemy and then only have it appear, like, in some levels, but that might be good overall. The specific enemy I was talking about was the Saber Bot, which is not part of the demo. I could show it off, actually, but that was exclusive to we had, like, sort of a labyrinth dark level, which a couple of clips from that appear in the devlog, but not very many. And that was exclusive to that stage because it was sort of like an ambush stealth type class, and it didn't work very well. Fucking particle bugs, I swear to God. It didn't work very well in an open field like this. So that would be the case for having level-specific enemies. Favor bot? No, saber, like lightsaber. It fights with swords. Someone said it was a ripoff of some, like, Star Wars antagonist that I'd never heard of, which is funny. Again, like, these are assets that we just purchased from, like, itch.io. So, I don't know what the inspirations were. The Saber bot will likely look different when we eventually redesign it with custom assets. Fuck. Ouchie, ouch. I love when you get the snipe. Oh, chain reaction. Nice. Pick up the kamikaze. Oh, it didn't really work, but I tried. Maybe I'll start playing with upgrades soon. Will the enemies always be robots, or will they become something different when they're new assets? No, robots are final. That's intended. The game does have kind of lore that I've been cooking up that has like a backstory and a setting. It's just that none of that is really possible to communicate through a combat demo like this, so we decided it was best just to leave it sort of untouched for now. But the lowdown is that it's sort of like a post-human robot apocalypse setting. The year would be like 2120 or something like that, so like 100 years in the future. All the humans are dead, it's just robots. There's some fun nuances to exactly what the robots are and how they're programmed, which I don't know if I want to get too into the lore right now, but there's room for quirkiness is what I'll say. It's not all doom and gloom, it's sort of like a whimsical post-apocalyptic setting where it's just this absurd like joke world that we're left with. And it's pretty funny. Lore is that someone installed TF2 onto the robots and they've been playing for 200 years. You're not that far off the truth, really. Like, that's kind of correct. Not just TF2, but they're sort of shit posts. Like, someone may have put the software, like, development patch key into a public forum, and oh, I won't go into any more details. Chaos ensues. Gonna deflect this guy's bullets. Honed. His shield survived, though. What a god. Come at me. There we go. There was no benefit to doing that, but I really wanted to. Oops. Let's see if I can do the ultra kill ripoff mechanic. Okay, that I did. It sucked. I did do it. It just sucked. Oh my god. Fucking playing like dog shit over here. Can't play his own game, Angie. Is Chainbot the only melee bot? No. The Saber bot is also melee, but I'm hesitant to talk about those guys because, like, we redesigned 3 of the bots, and we're happy with those guys, the Wheelbot, Chainbot, Flamebot. The other ones are still sort of in an earlier state, and, like, they're not as bad as, like, the original Flamebot, for example, but they're still going to be redesigned to some extent, I'm pretty sure. Even the Shotgun bot, who, the Shotgun bot was, like, simple enough and it worked well enough that I included it in the demo, but even that one I have some spicier plans for in the future, which will come with also, like, sprite redesigns. Please don't let Reddit be canon. Well, you know, I can't make any promises. The Wheelbot, for example, it's a good example of, like, a visual redesign we want, is that, the sprite currently doesn't really match its function. Like, I want this to be literally throwing the grenades. Like, it sort of looks like it has a grenade launcher, but that's not the intent. Like, for the final sprite, the design I have in mind is, like, literally a big gangly arm that comes out of a bucket and throws the grenades. It's just funny to me, that mental image, so that's the benefit of having unique art, is that we're not limited by these stock assets anymore. We can have more adventurous redesigns like that. The Wheelbot, actually, I even, there's a 0.1 second delay between pressing the fire button and the grenade launching, which is usually a terrible idea. But I incorporated that preemptively because I wanted to account for the time it would take the arm to swing before the grenade was thrown, so it's, in all ways but visible, it is throwing the grenades. Boom! That was sick. I'm sort of playing with half a brain cell here while I'm talking. if you're going really try hard at this, and it helps to be in smaller rooms too. Like honestly, the combat I think doesn't really work too well in a big field like this. But like playing well at this game, I think, is swapping constantly. Because you get score bonuses for a lot of things regarding swapping, and also like the more frequently you swap, the less likely you are to die, and so it becomes self-sustaining. But it also requires a lot of brain power to keep doing that, and which is why I'm sort of staying in one character for quite a while sometimes here. What US state does the game take place in? It's probably not in the US, honestly. It's of course not really concrete at this point. I was more picturing Europe, though, as a setting, for some reason. Don't ask me why. Is that a face cam on the bottom right? Yeah. Maybe I'll show off some upgrades now. I'm gonna do it. Alright, so I got an upgrade. This is a pretty straightforward one. I have to become a Wheelbot to show it off, though. It increases your throw speed and the recoil of throwing, which is pretty funny. You get kind of blasted backward. I have a lot of scores saved up, so I should be able to buy a whole bunch of upgrades. Let's go for another one. The score is used to purchase upgrades. Okay, so Self-Preservation Override. That one lets the Wheelbots do collision damage with enemies by, like, running into them, which is pretty funny. But it's also bugged right now. The hit stop, as you can see, is really excessive and glitchy, so it's a lot of fun, but it's unfortunately kind of broken in its current state. Alright, shotgunner upgrade. What's gonna happen? Stacked shells. Alright, so double the shells, but also a lot of reload time increase. Pretty funny. So, as you can see, the upgrades, not all of them are fully balanced and designed perfectly yet. Some of them are pretty basic or cursory, and some of them are pretty adventurous and kind of game-changing. There's a big variance, and that's going to be another big development push, is to get more items in and balance them properly and stuff. But for now, we just have a bunch of them made, and they're all just kind of for fun. This one turns your shotgun shells into fire, which is good for overheating flame bots. Fuck it, it's really good at overheating flame bots. That probably needs to be nerfed, actually. Fucking get wrecked, scrub. Celeste in real life. Oh, you think that's a fun upgrade? I'll show you a fun upgrade. Well, they're random, so I can't choose which ones to show you, but... Another stacked shells. You can stack them and it gets kind of ridiculous. But also pretty fun. No, I killed them both. You can't swap into enemies when they're dead. It's a common issue. Painbot upgrade. What do you got? This one's pretty boring. It just makes your grapple launch faster. Useful though. It's often pretty hard to hit shit with the grapple hook in the heat of the moment. Ouch. Flamebot upgrade. Oh, this one is another one that's fun, but kind of a little bit busted at the moment. This was the one from the devlog, if you remember, that inspired the rocket thrust mechanic. It gave you the backward thrust that made your range long. Currently, it makes your thrust stronger, but it's the physics are a bit jank, where it's like you move backward faster if you resist the thrust, which is it's not supposed to be how it works. So this one needs tweaking to make it more usable, but it's still pretty fun. Like, holy fuck, look at him go. Come on, give me that one's boring. Okay, that's the one I wanted. Let's see what happens. Worth it. It just makes your kamikaze explosion massive. I love that one. Absolutely hilarious. I can do it again. It's probably oh, I didn't do it properly. Never mind. It's probably overpowered, but it's like really funny. Rocket schmovement. Yes, exactly. We want you to be able to schmoove with RAM. I'll try it again. Kamikaze! It makes me laugh every time. Just the sheer gratuitous destruction of it. Oh, I ran out of funds for upgrades. They increase in price exponentially, which kind of makes them a finite resource, more or less. But that's just for the demo. Like, this stuff all has to be balanced all over again for the a proper roguelike mode anyway, so I guess just look the other way for now. So now I have 2 stacks of this. The recoil is going to be fucking ridiculous. Oh no, don't do me dirty like that. Ah. I got done dirty like that. Can the chainbot grapple walls to pull itself around? No. Not current. I think that would actually... In general, that would be too janky to use because the grapple hook misses a lot, and if it got stuck to walls, that would be a huge pain in the ass. You can, if you grapple heavier enemies, none of which spawn in the demo, you pull yourselves toward them. It's just the whiplash from Ultra Kill, really. Although I don't think I was necessarily consciously basing it on the whiplash. That's just sort of what made sense to me at the time. I think I was actually basing it on a loader from Risk of Rain. Outsin is crying. Has Outsin been trying to communicate and I've been ignoring him? I don't think so, never mind. Have I heard of a new anime? I'm not talking about animes during the devlog stream, I'm sorry. You never use Whiplash and Ultra Kill, it's too much. Same with me, my brain is not expanded enough to use all the Ultra Kill mechanics. Like, I actually suck at that game. 3 dimensions is too many fucking dimensions for me. Like, I'm happy with 2 dimensions. I'm actually going to go to the test room. Oh. Classic beta jank. Look at this fucking unplayable mess of a game. This is the one I kept showing in the dev room. That's kind of where I prefer to fight it, honestly. I'm just gonna kill the ads here and demo what I was talking about with the chainbot. So here's a fucking chonker here. This guy, I don't trust him not to crash the game if I actually play as him, but he's good as a target dummy. So if I become the chainbot and get rid of this guy, you can see that the grapple works where I'm pulled toward it mostly, instead of vice versa. But it still works the same, like I can do the launch and all that. Will the arena mode be in the final game? Likely. There'll probably be something like this. I know Toby's got the idea. He's been playing Neon White. He's big on, like, we need a Neon White, like, speedrun puzzle room mode where it's just like these enemy setups, then you clear them as fast as possible, which I'm not opposed to, but that's going to be like a lot further on if we get to that. It's a thick-ass boy. Control him? I'll show you what he does. Oh, this is, yeah, they're, I don't think it crashes the game, but the projectile just doesn't layer with the tile map. I've done a lot of work, actually most of the work since the, I guess there hasn't been any previous devlog. I'll say I could have made the devlog on tile map layering, but instead I did enemy designs, but there's a lot of tile map layering work that hasn't been updated to this guy yet, so it doesn't layer correctly. Basically, you hit the balls into enemies. It probably needs to be redesigned at some point because it's not very good and very hard to use, but yeah. Here's another guy. the marketable plushie type character. Actually the worst character in the game currently. Like, this guy's actually worse than original Flamebot. But I just didn't have time to redesign him for the devlog, so he got left out. But, like, look at how long it takes to shoot. It's unusable, basically, but it's pretty fucking just, like, the power of the laser is always quite entertaining. Especially with the new explosion sound effects. Actually the first time I've played with this guy with the new sound effects in. That's pretty cool. Which is the evolution thing you mean? That's your evolution level. So that's your that's a global power scale for all the different hosts, as opposed to the upgrades, which only apply to one specific type of host. So there's 2 different systems for getting more powerful: evolution level and upgrades, and they'll both work in tandem in the final version. I can turn on the AI so you can see that these guys are really dangerous as enemies, but useless to play as. Like, if you have 3 of these guys just sniping you, like, the game becomes incredibly difficult really fast, because they one-shot, like, you're fucked if you get hit by that. Oh. There we go. That's what I was talking about, him crashing the game. I think if you hit the projectile, you're supposed to be able to, like, smack that back, but currently it just crashes. Because it's, he hasn't been updated yet. Fire and then swap. Yeah, that's basically the only way that you can use the archers now, is as a combo piece, which is, that's well and good, but I don't want any one character to be just a gimmick or just have one utility, because it works for that. But actually controlling it, it's just you're running away, you're helpless, it's terrible. And it's no fun at all. So I want to patch the archers so that probably, like, it charges up for a shorter time, that's obvious. Also, so that you can change the aim slightly while charging, maybe even move slightly. Like, it needs a lot of help to be usable. Or maybe even have the laser work on, like, a voluntary charge basis, where you can shoot, like, a small version that's, like, rapid fire, or you can charge it up. I'm not sure yet, but all these ideas and more are circulating in my mind. That's a mini-boss. Okay, I turned on the horde spawning by accident there. I just have a giant, fun-sized chainbot to work with now. How has it been to work in Godot? It's been pretty good. I came from Unity originally. That was the first game engine that I learned to use, was Unity. And I want to say that there are some things that I like about Unity better than Godot, but to be truthful, like, I never learned Unity that well. I kind of, like, I feel like I spent most of my time with Unity, like, writing editor tools to override parts of it that I didn't like, which is not really productive, so... and Godot is the same way. I haven't messed around as much with, like, writing editor extensions for Godot. I've done it a bit. But I think, definitely for, like, a beginner to game dev, I think Godot is more approachable. There's a lot about it that's more, like, user-friendly, and it's just, like, a lighter weight program. Like, Unity takes, you know, a good 10-20 seconds to boot up sometimes. It's a big, hefty fucking thing, whereas Godot is, like, super lightweight. And open source, too, which has helped greatly in hacking the fucking tile map system to do what I want. Well. Will Cousin Smelly be in the game? Who's Cousin Smelly, pray tell? Oh, it looks like I can't turn back on the enemy spawns. I gotta keep the combat going here, otherwise the stream becomes too boring to watch, I think. Getting those Patreon credits was such a pain, by the way. Like, I was trying to get, like, not just a run, but, like, a cool run where, like, stuff happened and, like, it was actually, the combat looked good. And once you get perfectionist about that, it becomes this whole fucking trial and error process. And also something would always go wrong, like there'd be a really ugly visual bug, or it would crash, or, you know, something always happened, or not all the names would spawn. But I got a lot of good playtesting done during that period, I have to say. And there's no playtesting like involuntary playtesting when it comes to this. There's the Ultra Kill ripoff. You can punch your shotgun bullets to make them go fast. At the cost of, like a... stunning yourself, basically. Thoughts on Joel's cover of Brick by Brick as Wheelbot's theme? I love the cover. I'm not sure what it has to do with the Wheelbot. Will there be, what will the storytelling method be? We're planning to have like a Hades hub, essentially. Just call it what it is. It's a Hades hub. That's like a future thing, so it's not really like, it's still just a concept, but that's the way that I picture the narrative being conveyed, is like you have this little like Firelink shrine of dudes that you return to, and like occasionally you'll do something in a run that like unlocks a new dude back at the hub, and then you, at the start of each run, you kind of pass through there on your way to like start the ultra-violence. Are grenades just volatile bricks? Yes. It's kind of unclear what the grenades are in lore. They're probably just like a little capsule filled with improvised explosives, so there's no reason they can't be a brick. This is stuff that probably you don't need to think about, is what are the grenades in canon, but I can't help thinking about that stuff. That's kind of the way I work. Making it a priority to defeat the bot you were possessing prior feels good. I considered adding a trick shot bonus for that, actually. But it kind of... usually it was sort of redundant with the quick draw bonus. Because if you're going to kill the bot you were possessing, and like... if you wait longer than like a couple seconds, you're going to lose track of what that bot even was, and you're not going to understand what the bonus is. And if you do kill it fast, then you get the quick draw bonus, which is if you get a kill right after swapping into a new host. Like, okay, that was a trick shot instead, but because I died. That would have been a quick draw though. This area needs a song. Yeah, it does. There's no music. I'm sorry about that. I'm used to playing with no music, so I didn't notice. The level music does eventually get grating after playing for like hours and hours and hours, so I turned it off after a while. But the thing about this testing arena, rather than the actual map, I kind of like it because this is closer to what the final game's combat will be like. It's more like wave-based, where you have like several enemies, like 4 enemies spawn on top of you in a relatively enclosed space, and you have to deal with them, and like the next wave maybe spawns. So it's more like bite-sized chunks of combat rather than just like endlessly mowing through dudes. There's more of like a sense of pacing to it. Although here it's still pretty constant combat. Because there's only one room and there's infinitely many waves. Oops. I swapped into the spawner by accident. That's the way you spawn enemies, by the way. You just swap into this thing and then you can place dudes down. I spawned with a swap shield, that's bullshit. Ay, 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 ay. Flamebots get fucking on your ass sometimes. Oh, I got a butterfly! That's super rare. That's if you kill an enemy whose explosion kills another enemy whose explosion kills a third enemy. You get the butterfly bonus. I've only ever seen it happen twice. You can specifically engineer scenarios like 4 flamebots killing each other. Yeah, that's sort of the idea, is we want to experiment with more curated encounter design, where if we can control the enemy composition and their spawn points, then rooms can be cleared in like an intelligent way, rather than just constantly mowing guys down. So the mindset will shift from just like kill the guy in front of you to like, you're entering a room, you see the enemies spawned in, you get to think for a second, like, okay, how am I gonna kill these guys? And then you go in there like you're fucking John Wick or something and just like efficiently dispatch them all. That's what I want to get to with the encounter design here. This mosh pit combat is not at all the final vision. But it's still pretty fun though. That's a good sign, right? If you can just have like super basic mindless combat and it's still kind of entertaining, I think that's a really good starting point. What about findable allies akin to Risk of Rain 2? I guess so. Like, there's a lot of mechanics you could add just for the sake of it. I think what appeals to me more is mechanics that tie into the central, like, gimmicks of the game already, though, so I'm not sure where allies really fit into that. Someone in the Discord stream also mentioned, like, temporary items, and I sort of gave them the same response. It's like, maybe that could work, but, like, it may be better also just to keep it kind of elegant and focused on, like, the core loop of the game. Oh my god. What happened? Melee attack? Oh, I think I somehow hit target source. Let's do live debugging. Does this not check if the source of the grenade... I think what happened is that I deflected the grenade. Let me shut that up. I deflected the grenade, and the shotgunner tries to target the enemy that shot the grenade when you deflect it, but that enemy died before I hit it, and so it tried to find a position, but the enemy was already despawned, so it crashed, but I would have thought that I would have put a check in place to make sure that the original source was actually available before trying that. Yeah, here it is. So if the deflect type is target source and the source is not valid, then it should switch to a different deflection type. So why did this happen? Direction to causality at original source at level position. I don't know how that happened. And okay, I'm not going to spend more time doing this, but... will the game have content? Maybe? No guarantees. We're at 78 viewers? Holy shit. Not bad for a fucking... This video will definitely tank my channel because it's not about Deltarune stream. I'm kind of surprised by how well the devlog is doing so far. Like, it's still unclear what the long-term views are going to look like, but I expected it just to immediately tank because it wasn't about Undertale or Deltarune. That was honestly my expectation. I was hoping for like 10k views on this, really. I was like, okay, if we get 10k views, that's not bad, right? So I'm happy it's people are into this still. Honestly, I've been looking forward to seeing the devlog since you brought it up. I knew some people were. I knew that there would be like a group of people who would be really hyped about the devlog, but I just expected that most people wouldn't care. Which, maybe is still true. But I think even so far, like, the enthusiasm I've seen is, exceeds my expectations, and I'm very happy that it... Fuck off, you. Ouchie, ouch. How much is the game gonna be? We haven't really decided. If we launch in early access, I think we were talking about just like $10 or something. It's not exactly a high production affair. Although don't quote me on that, like I'm not sure what we'll decide ultimately. And to get to a point where it would be like even in early access and purchasable, we'd be way further along. Like, I sort of consider this to be like a pre-alpha build, as opposed to like a beta, where like we don't even have the real game loop yet. This is just a demo. So a purchasable version would mean like we have levels, we have bosses, we have the roguelike mechanics, we have combat in rooms and encounters and stuff. All that stuff gets done before this game is available for money. I'm using the car more. The car is really good, but you have to think to use it. You personally haven't seen my videos, but the devlog was on your recommended and you were happy you saw it. That's really cool, yeah. I kept my editing, and the humor is the same as my, like, Deltarune lore videos, so I figured that even if someone only wanted to watch Deltarune stuff, they at least would be, like, happy to see, like, that the editing style was still the same. It would still feel like watching an Andrew Cunningham video. But, I guess that also means that I could theoretically attract, like, devlog enjoyers to retroactively watch Undertale content, which is hilarious to think about. There's probably going to be someone who does that. Sick rocket boost there. Like that. I haven't been... The game is more fun when you try to be, like, swaggy about it. You go for, like, the trick shots and shit. But like trying to concentrate on that while also talking to chat, it's difficult. So I've been kind of playing more in a more boring way, I guess. But like shooting around with the flamethrower and trying to like be sweaty about it, it's really fun. And that's what I want to incentivize with the score system, the score being in-run currency. I've always felt like games with score systems are fun. Like I play Ultra Kill, and it's tempting to go for like high style bonus and stuff, but to really make people engage with it, I think making it like in-run diegetic currency is kind of a more unique take that I wanted to explore. Because that's like a tangible reward for skill points, or for skill shots. It's not just you get to brag to your friends or stream it on Twitch. It's like, that's how you have to play the game to win. You have to engage with the stylish combos and shit. The coolest way to play should be the most effective. That's, I guess, a much more concise way of saying it. That's the philosophy. Nice. Oh, is Toby here? Wait, Toby's here. Are you gonna join the call, Toby? Hang on. Oh, I think Discord wasn't playing the call audio.
I muted. It's okay.
Shit. Okay. Hello, Toby's on the call now. He's the other developer of the game, so he can answer questions too.
Can you stream it for me in here? Because otherwise I'll be delayed.
I can try that. Yeah. It may make my internet explode, but let's see what happens.
If it doesn't work, it's fine. Hello, chat.
Streaming RAM. Go live. All right. Is that working? Sorry, I'm looking away from the screen. Oh, I didn't have my the window focused. That's why I wasn't playing as well as I wanted to, I think. It's because I had no control over the game.
Hashtag not that Toby.
Not that Toby. Yeah, so Toby is famous for not being Toby Fox. Pretty cool. And
yeah, sorry I'm late. Hope the stream's been going well.
Oh, the stream's been fine.
I chose a perfect time to go grocery shopping.
Exactly. Yeah, I would have liked. I usually stream it a bit earlier, but this is like a weirdo stream. This is I stream normally on Sundays, but I don't usually drop videos on Sundays and have to stream right after that. So it's not like a real stream as far as I'm concerned. This is something unique to the devlog. So.
Yeah, forgive the microphone quality. This is just a gaming headset. I'm not a professional video maker like Andrew.
Professional fucking internet weirdo, yeah.
Professional Discord server owner, ACDS.
No. Fate worse than death.
I really like the dev room size for setting up.
Yeah, that's what I was
things.
saying. It's like the combat feels. You can see almost the whole room at once on your screen, which is nice.
I don't know if people were in the server or not. I guess we can't assume that, but I recently played Neon White over the Christmas break, and
I mentioned that,
really okay, cool.
On the stream.
Okay, cool. I'll try not to hopefully reiterate too much, but I really think
go into that more. I only mentioned it cursorily that you wanted to do like Neon White style combat rooms.
Yeah, I feel like kind of similar how to the enemies. If anyone's played Neon White, so if you haven't played Neon White, the enemies drop cards, and each card has that's the visual glitch that normally crashes.
Yeah, that's what crashes it.
That's what normally crashes it.
See, that's why flamebots crash the game, is because when it would cause that weird particle glitch, the build version, this is the debug, the build version would crash. So that's a pain.
Chat asks, what art style do I envision for this game? Well, honestly, the one that we're using right now is pretty kind of close to my original vision, because actually not the idea itself, but the game jam was kind of inspired by this asset pack because I really wanted to use it. So doing something along the lines of like a Risk of Rain 1 kind of vibe, I really like. But we have some ideas for aesthetics, kind of slightly more different, a little more kind of chromey, vaporwavy. But I think pixel art nonetheless. Hope that answers your question.
I think the the vision for the final look of the game is actually going to come down to the artists that we consult.
Yeah.
Because neither Toby or I are artists. We have like vague ideas about what we like and don't like in terms of game aesthetics. Like if I had my way, I'd just say make it Hyperlight Drifter 2.
I mean, that's basically my vibe too.
Yeah. So we like what we like, but I'm happy, and I think Toby is too, to like let people who have unique artistic visions and do this stuff like more competently and regularly and be more involved in actually defining what the look of the game is.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the key, is that we want to find someone we can basically have a partnership with that can help inform the design aesthetic, I guess, because it needs to have a unique identity. We don't want it to just be another pixel art roguelike, because they're, you know, a dime a dozen these days. We want it to have kind of a unique thing, and having an artist with a strong style gives us that.
That's how FromSoft does it, right? You want to be like From Software. They just have
This is the Dark Souls of roguelikes.
Exactly. They have like a box, like a stable full of like 50 of like the most talented artists who've ever lived, and then Miyazaki comes in, he's just like, go fucking nuts, draw me the weirdest thing I've ever seen, and if it's good, then it goes in the game. I think that's basically what they do. I kind of want to channel that.
There's the visual glitch again on the Flamebot.
Yeah, I fucking hate that. Makes me
Anyways,
angry.
what I was saying about the neon white comparison is that all the enemies drop cards, and the cards are different weapons. So for example, the pistol, you can shoot it obviously, or if you discard the card, you can do a double jump. And I kind of see the characters in RAM as a very similar disposable asset that you can, you know, swap into a Wheelbot, throw a brick, swap into a Flamebot, detonate, swap out, and get a chain going of these things. And the levels in Neon White are really well crafted so that you're constantly kind of flowing. You're really able to see what you're kind of supposed to do, and I'd like to be able to get that design language in the game for each room and each level, and have it kind of be more of a kinetic, almost puzzle style game, but still focused on the combat.
Yeah, it's going to be a relative puzzle, like a puzzle when things are going like 1,000 miles a minute and are as chaotic as this is. It's not going to be Baba is you, but it can be a little bit intellectual maybe. Like that kind of split-second decision making is more what we mean by puzzle, I think.
Wim asks if there's more enemies that will do something special before you leave their body. Yes, there are all sorts of special things. You'll notice there's 4 characters in that room that we've not talked about that we will talk about in the future.
I can show them off. I've already showed off the Archer bot.
Oh yeah? I mean, they're gonna crash the game,
The
but
Sorcerer
that's fine.
bot crashes the game. As long as I don't pull out the Saber Ring, this guy won't crash. This guy is not balanced very well yet. That's the common theme with all the bots that weren't in the devlog, but check this out. Pretty cool, eh? So that's what this guy does.
Daedalus.
Yeah, this is one of the guys we've experimented with giving like a proper, not just something bot name. I'm worried I'm gonna get like Stockholm Syndrome with the nomenclature, and just like, that's gonna be the final version, is everything is just called like bot. But,
No, I've had some naming ideas recently.
Cool. I think ultimately the names are going to tie in more to the sort of the lore roles of the enemies than the combat roles, which will be it'll be better for flavor.
I can promise you that there will be a bot, maybe not necessarily like a main bot in the game, but it will be called Wheelbot. It will live on somehow.
Okay, Toby's made the promise.
It has to be at this point.
People seem to like the Wheelbot. What can I say? I'm convinced that in an alternate universe, if I'd shown off the Archer bot would have become the marketable plushie character instead of the Wheelbot.
I don't know, people like the Wheelbot.
Maybe that's because I know the Archer bot's lore though, and that's not visible to anyone else but me, so I can't really blame anyone for not being able to read my mind.
I give the people what they want, what can I say?
Yes, please read this made you look. Fuck. JD just says Vaporwave. What are you saying?
Oh, that was a while
things?
ago.
Oh, this chat not updating for me? No, it's fine. That's right.
I mean, you are playing, I'm just reading. Will there be
Yeah.
a worm in this game? Actually, if we go with the desert level, I'm a big Dune fan, so there's a chance.
Oh shit.
That could be a cool boss, actually.
Never occurred to me, yeah, the sandworm boss. That
You
would
could
work as
take
an epic,
possession when it's out of the sand, maybe. That could be kind of cool.
an epic battle fantasy reference. Sandworms, you know, not Dune.
Everything needs sandworms.
They're fun. Come on. Give us worm, please. I'm liking this vibe, by the way, Toby, of you reading questions and me not having to look at chat, so I can just
Yeah, it's
keep
fun.
playing here.
It's nice to not just be lurking in chat and actually communicating. It's kind of fun.
Yes, yeah. Post-streaming, what a concept. Oh, I'm gonna fucking explode.
I do like the idea of potentially doing some sort of like dev streams.
Yeah, that people do that, right? Like, that's a thing.
Yeah, like Mrs. does that stuff, and they actually have. I think made a stream game where you can like log in and play while you're watching the stream.
Cool. That's the kind of things you can do when you're a game dev YouTuber, I guess. You know what?
Yeah, like they type commands. It's like kind of like Twitch plays, where they like type commands in chat, and their characters on the screen have their usernames and stuff, and it's in the corner while he's deving.
Yeah. Oh, cool. You know what the stupid thing is I don't really watch devlogs very often. Like, Toby's big into watching devlogs, but I don't really watch them usually, for some reason. So
There's a really odd culture around them. It's kind of cool.
what's
It's like a subculture of like game dev enthusiasts who are not necessarily programmers themselves, but they just like the creation process, which is really cool.
Yeah, I could see that. Like, I watch videos about Japanese woodblock printmaking, and I have no intention of making Japanese woodblock prints. I just like seeing the process and hearing about how it works. So I can see
Remnant
the
says
appeal.
instant imposter syndrome videos, and you have no idea how true that is.
Oh, that's very true. That's probably part of the reason.
Especially the ones where
I
it's
don't
like,
watch
I
them.
made this game in 4 hours, and you're like, oh my gosh.
Walk you, yeah. Or listening to like who's the Doom guy? Like John Carmack, where he like made a fucking
John
like
Carmack.
his own operating system to run the game or something. Just like.
I mean, the amount of stuff that he pioneered is insane. Everyone should read Masters of New. It's really cool.
Yeah. Like, I don't even really identify myself as a programmer at this point. I'm solely a game developer. Like, everything I know about programming has come from programming a game, which is like, that's not what programming is like in the real world. It's the skill sets
Having
are very
recently
different.
had professional programming experience at a co-op for my software engineering degree, I can confirm that it is not the same. It's
Yeah.
way more fun to be a game dev.
I have never worked in like any kind of professional industry programming job. Like, I'm completely an amateur, really, when it comes down to it. But my only skill set is just like whatever it takes to make video games.
You are really good at it, though. That's something that is really interesting about
so.
having worked in a professional capacity on software, is that your design instincts are actually really pretty well placed, I think, a lot of the time.
Oh yeah.
Like, even when I was debugging stuff, like, most of what you wrote makes a lot of sense.
Sorry, I'm laughing at the on-screen antics. Yeah, that's good actually. You got me to watch that one like Uncle Bob video, right? That was like showing
Solid
it
principles.
was like showing fire to a caveman. I was like, what do you mean split functions up and stuff? But I'm kind of digging it. Like in the latest code that I've been writing, I've kind of been orienting myself more toward being a little bit more architectural with it, which has been fun.
I mean, I can see many places in our code base for RAM that I want to improve already, just
Yeah.
from having made changes.
There's no shortage of spaghetti code.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even that bad. It's more so that things that should be... Like, we need something that is exclusively in charge of the swap bar. Like, right now, that's basically managed by the player. But
Yeah.
we should be able to globally have access to that, but then you have to be careful with global access stuff and singleton patterns and...
Oh yeah, fucking tell me about it. Trying to figure out like when you're doing game dev, especially like at a small team level, everything can be solved with a singleton. But then you start to hear more and more about like you shouldn't be solving everything with a singleton, and you don't really understand why. And I still don't feel like I understand why. So that's very scary.
The main danger, and this is actually an example of the bug that happened before we hotfixed this demo, is that by changing something in one place globally, it broke something else. Because by changing the pause state on that one node, it no longer paused the swap bar because it was connected to that node in terms of its pause in the tree. So that was coupled. If that hadn't been global, it wouldn't have affected that.
Yeah. The thing is, Godot has its own problem with like global coupling just because of the nature of how it works. Like,
yeah, the emission system for signals is really weird.
and and getting node paths, like everything is node paths in Godot. So if you change the structure of any scene file, then all the paths are going to break. There's no like, you can't just get a pointer to another object. Well, no, you can, but like I can't articulate this on the fly. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's basically like nodes in a scene are essentially like it's like an import. So you're like using a sprite, but in the visual of the path, it's like a node tree. It's really weird.
But just the
But
same
normally, like
works.
an observer pattern is something that you could just emit a signal. Like in Java, you can just emit a signal, and whoever's listening for that can pick up on it. But in Godot, you have to connect the signal for the emission to be like picked up, otherwise it errors,
which
causes
anyway.
coupling.
Yeah, so you can't really use signals to fundamentally avoid coupling issues. It's just another coat of paint.
Exactly.
Which is what's frustrating about it.
Yeah, and I think that is potentially just a Godot issue. I mean, again, I'm not a professional developer by any means.
It's the kind of thing I see people arguing about in forums. Oh, sorry, chat can have a go.
Is the number of controllable bots set or will more be added? Well, there are 8 currently in the game, and there will be more added, so there's no set limit. Oh, there's the visual glitch again.
Yep, there it is.
There's no set limit, but, I mean, there's going to be at least 8, and then 4-ish bosses, depending on how many levels we make?
Yeah, 4 bosses is what we planned. We're planning for like 3 main levels, and then like a final boss zone.
Asking about speedrun and tournaments, will RAM have some sort of online board for people to compete? Well, it'll just have whatever infrastructure is existing for stuff like that. Like, you know, it'll be added to whatever, I hope, you know. If a game's on Steam, I'm pretty sure we can get approved to be on speedrun, wherever, whatever site we want to be participating on, but I don't think that's something we'll set up. It's more like the community, if it's founded, will be interested, but I definitely want to be able to support communities like speedrunning around our game. I think that'd be really fun.
I think maybe they're
I'm a big Summoning
like
Salt fan.
Like a leaderboard or something for scores or times or...
I have a feeling that will be our precursor to like multiplayer if we ever end up going there,
Yeah,
but having
exactly,
some sort of server that will let you, you know, post runs or I mean, like times of runs or scores.
A lot of roguelikes do
like
global dailies. That's a thing. So, but that's again that's too far in the future. So that's just a firm maybe.
I mean, we do track a lot of stuff. I'm not sure if anybody's looked in their save file if you're a patron and have access to the demo, but we are tracking, you know, how many kills you've had with each enemy, how many swaps, how many times you've used them, stuff like that. And at one point in one of the early demos we were displaying all that information, but when we ported to Godot 4, all of those menus broke, and we didn't have time to get them back in.
Yeah,
but
those are some of like the nicer looking menus too. I put a lot of work into those. But
yeah, that's when we finally started understanding control nodes.
Like you got a little portrait for the enemies. You got their movesets. You had their like their backstory, some like flavor text. It was quite nice.
That was where there's supposed to be some lore tidbits, but then they didn't work.
Yeah. But that's also, like, I hadn't even written lore for all the bots yet, so it would have been kind of goofy to have, like, some of them with lore and some without lore, and it would have looked bad. Someone in chat killed a mosquito with their fucking hand. Cool.
That's a next level feeling.
Confirmed.
My favorite is when you're, like, lying in bed, and you hear a mosquito beside your ear, and then all of a sudden you swat it and you get it, and so you don't have to actually live in perpetual fear of the mosquito. You can just go to sleep.
Wow, it's never happened to me. Like I've never actually swatted it. It's just been perpetual fear every time.
I have gone to war with mosquitoes in my room before. Like I will get up and turn the lights on and hunt.
Oh yeah, they're no good.
Will RAM have mosquitoes? One could argue if the Wheelbot is a mosquito.
Oh fuck, this guy's exploding too. You can zone out playing this game, I'll say that much. Like,
I mean, watching JD play it earlier was like really fun.
It's hypnotizing. And
I'm very much a believer of like the Bungie game dev concept of kind of like the different loops, right? That pretty sure in Halo 1 that was something they talked about with what's the 5-second loop, what's the 5-minute loop, what's the 5-hour loop, right? Like the different levels of what you're having fun with.
Yeah,
so if we can have a moment-to-moment gameplay, if it's fun every time you swap for a couple seconds, and then the act of swapping is fun, and so you have growing kind of onion skin layers of gameplay, that is where a lot of the ideas we've been working with and have for the next level of development come from, is what will make each level of progression fun. Yeah, primary, secondary, tertiary gameplay loops. Thank you.
Exactly. And that's what the rooms are going to be. When we have the encounters partitioned into rooms, that's going to be more of a secondary gameplay loop, is clearing a whole room, moving to the next one. The swap time is going to pause when you're not in combat, because we can't have the time pressure just all the time. It's too much. And it also makes traversal suck if the swap timer isn't paused, because it's just this miserable experience of like walking through corridors trying to find an enemy before you die. Like, that sucks.
Yeah, we definitely will be probably reworking the swap bar internal logic, but that will allow us to do a lot more interesting and creative things with it. I mean, there are already upgrades implemented. I don't know if they're working in the 4.0, but
those have been
to change how your swap bar works, which is kind of cool.
Yes, that was an idea of, like, as an upgrade you get from a boss. If you beat a boss, you would get to have, like, a run-wide, all-hosts upgrade that would affect how the swap mechanic itself functions, and that would be, like, kind of your ultimate reward, I guess, for defeating the boss.
I think I've described it previously as the lunar items in Risk of Rain 2 that have some drawback, but some major game change.
They'd be more game-changing,
loop. Yeah. So, like, for example, you can no longer swap, but killing enemies refills your health for the enemy that you're currently controlling. So if you really like one character, you can then main that character and almost make it like a traditional roguelike. But there could be a lot of difficulty associated with that. That's not necessarily one we're going to do, but that type of idea.
Yeah, they're balancing nightmares, as you can imagine. Some that we actually did implement were like, dealing damage to enemies will lower the swap timer. So if as long as you're constantly like throwing yourself at enemies, you never have to swap. Among other things like that. And one where if your swap timer maxed out, instead of dying, you would revert to like a weakened state until you could find something to swap into. And if you got hit once, then you would die.
Yeah, it's all about manipulating those two different parts of the swap bar. The lockout and then the amount of time you have.
Exactly. Basically, it functions as like the safe zone is between the yellow and the end of the bar. As long as the red is there, you can't die. But if the red is below the yellow or it reaches the end, then you die. It's.
I'm really happy that we added that right there, swap now thing.
Yes.
Because it really helps you remember. Because even me, I would forget to do it sometimes, and having people playtest it, that was a common thing, is that they would die, they would still be able to swap, but they wouldn't really realize, they would just kind of accept their death, and then
dying
it would actually
is not a problem at all in this game, as long as you can swap. Like, it's just part of the flow. But if people don't know that, then they don't realize that it's just an intended mechanic. Oops.
The live count on the YouTube videos caught up. It's at 3.1 now. Cool.
Nice. That probably means the actual view count's up to like 5K or something, but
it's exciting.
I haven't checked. Can't wait to get a good pre-alpha build. I guess this is sort of pre-pre-alpha, isn't it?
This is like dev. This isn't even alpha.
This is in dev. Yeah. Okay. I have no idea what those terms mean. I just have like associations with what they correspond to in Minecraft or whatever.
Yeah, I think they're generally loose terms. I mean, a beta these days basically just means a glorified demo, right? Like, think about how many games come out for a beta 3 weeks before they come out.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Ooh, Archer gameplay.
Yeah, at high EVL, Archer is a little bit usable. They're not targeting me, what? I think something's broken with the stealth.
Did you break the peaceful?
No, it's just the Archer
Oh
stealth
yeah, the
mechanic
stealth.
is broken.
Yeah, the stealth mode, right.
Oh well. What if I just don't use the stealth mode? Will it work then? I think it does. It's also very hard to survive without the stealth mode, though. I love the fucking sound it makes when the archer now. It makes me want to make the archer usable.
Because it's got all the explosions, right?
The sound is so cool.
Each of the explosions have their own audio now, and it's positional.
Sick. And it immediately dies. R.I.P. Archer bot. A beta build is an early build that is built before the launch of the game. Yes, I guess so. Archer after not surviving.
I didn't realize that the swap shields draw under the flame tar. That's interesting.
Oh really? That's I haven't
Put some
noticed
tar
that.
down and watch that shotgunner.
Oh, or get shot in the face and die. Oof.
Just turn the debug controls back on. You can turn it off.
I don't think I can escape the death menu. I'm stuck. All right, let's try again. So, oh, I need a swap shield to spawn though.
Which is time-based, so you gotta keep playing.
Never mind. Okay, I don't know how to do that. I'm gonna start pumping up upgrades again. Actually, no. Let's do this. I can make a live patch here. I'm just gonna decrease the cost of upgrades to like 0, so I can have infinitely many of them. That's in player, right? Where's the player? Player.
Yeah.
Player. It's not loaded. Fuck.
Are there any ideas that you had to kill off in order for others to thrive? Ones you really wanted to see work, but they just didn't? It's hard to say because it's been so long that we've been working on this game on and off for almost 2 years. So
on and off is the key part too. Like
yeah, not like cumulatively not for 2 years, nowhere near it. But I mean, there definitely have been ideas that we've both had that either the other person didn't think would work, or we kind of attempted and they didn't really work. A lot of our ideas are still conceptual, like a lot of our thoughts about how the overall game loop will run. So likely some of those will be shelved, but generally, I mean, if you've watched the devlog, the way that the end monologue about the way that we're approaching design, I think is really key, because we've really changed the way we're thinking, because now that we're not going to hopefully be bound by the asset packs, we'll be able to be a lot more creative around how, like, what's actually fun to do, rather than, we literally can only have this guy shoot this one way because that's the only art we have and neither of us are artists.
Yes.
So I think that will come in more in the future, that we'll have to kill off ideas, but there's lots of ideas I've had for like, oh nice, yeah. There's lots of ideas I've had for little things, like, ARG things that it's like, okay, I'd love to do that, but it's a lot of work and the game's not done yet, so maybe not yet, but here and there. Someone asks, how does a chainbot work when you aren't playing as it? I'd imagine the grapple would be annoying to play against when you're trying to dodge bullets.
I can show you. Okay, I need to kill off all the ads first. We need like a /kill command. I've been missing one of those. If I just spawn a billion chainbots, I can show you exactly how that works.
They basically form a giant rat king.
They spaghetti themselves, which is... The AI needs to be upgraded so that they're a bit more effective with the spaghetti, but... Oh fuck, they keep spawning. They do try to grapple you, it's just that they're pretty fucking stupid currently. Yeah, see? It did the grapple hit on me. The trick is that you can make them stop grappling you by dealing damage to them, so it's, if you really don't want to get hit, then you have to, like, hit the chainbot with a bullet and it'll let you go. Ow. He's gonna grapple me in. Very funny. Which robot will be the hottest? Flamebot. Okay.
Damn, you were fast with that.
It's right in front of me. Like, he's glowing. He's red hot.
The nuclear clouds are awesome.
It sounds like an avalanche off screen. Yeah, this upgrade is fucking busted, but it's awesome. I'm a big fan.
Yeah. That the upgrade purchase sound, I was trying to have it pitch up, but for whatever reason it will infinitely pitch because the state is set such that it's like thinks you're upgrading if you just like tap it, and so it wasn't a safe thing to keep because eventually it was really insane. But we'll get a better sound eventually.
Yes, we are working with a sound design guy. It's been great having incoming assets recently.
The robots don't have any gender, so any pronouns work.
Is that canon now? Okay.
Yeah, well, you just called one he, him, which I also call them generally
true. That's
but I
just
also
like...
call them they, them, so it doesn't matter. They're
I guess that's canon, yeah.
They're pieces of metal.
Oh fuck, I glitched him out. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, you can get stuck in a charging animation on a chainbot, especially boss.
But I'm assuming that's due to like the whole like camera freeze. Oh, he's in a permanent attacking state. Like that, he has a hitbox. He's an infinite sword glitch. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Kill him before he lays eggs.
Will enemies use upgrades? That's something we haven't really talked about. The idea is pretty much no, just because then they would become insanely hard to fight against.
Yeah,
they're all already very nerfed from the player control base.
The real reason that enemies can't use upgrades is because they would need custom AI to use a lot of them. And that would be a huge pain in the ass and not worth it at all, so... and upgrades in lore are supposed to be kind of exclusive to your role. The devlog says there's no player character. What that means is there's no visible player character. The AI that controls the robots is kind of a character, and it has its own abilities and kind of story, but... That's...
Evolution level does not affect enemies, it's only for the player.
Yes.
The evolution level is kind of a level-specific progression. So the idea is that you'll be able to, within a level, like imagine like a Hades or a Risk of Rain, like in Hades Tartarus, for example, you would get your EVL up before you fought the boss, and then when you go to the next level, it's reset. Versus the items, which are global, run wide.
Exactly. We're kind of going for, or at least we've had an idea to do sort of a Breath of the Wild style boss thing, where as soon as you get to a level, you can fight the boss, but it's just, you start with no upgrades and at Evolution 0, so it's very hard to do that with going through
Speedrunner's dream.
Yeah, that's going to be hard to balance, because you know that, like, as soon as someone gets good at the game, they're not going to bother with getting evolution levels at all, so it has to be, like, really brutally hard to fight the boss without grinding the level first, otherwise it'll just be trivial for speedrunners.
Chat says kind of like Risk of Rain, and I say exactly like Risk of Rain.
Exactly.
If you notice in the devlog, I believe there is actually a clip of a loader doing a clip into the boss room on the last stage.
Yes, there's two Risk
That's
of
a
Rain.
great speedrun.
Ouchie, ouch. This is a bad spot to be in.
RAM is Breath of the Wild 2 confirmed. No, Tears of the Kingdom is Breath of the Wild 2 confirmed. This is Breath of the Wild 3. Oh yeah. Didn't you have to resist very hard not to put a Mario Odyssey capture? I mean, you put you put part of it in there, but not like the frog one that we talked about.
We talked about the frog one?
Yeah, the first time you capture something in Odyssey and you turn into the frog.
I don't remember discussing that actually. I looked for, I'd sure you picked like the jankiest looking transformations. It was completely unfair of me to do that, but I just needed the clip. It wasn't really supposed to be a critique of Mario Odyssey.
Should have used the tree from when Donkey talks about being a tree and instead of 10 out of 10.
I could have used the cactus, I guess, but I wanted something where you could act like... I think if I showed a clip of you being a tree, you wouldn't even be able to tell what was happening. Like, there's also the meat, right? Like, you just become a piece of meat for a while. That was pretty funny. Ouchie, ouch. Ooh. That's quite a
People are talking about the game files in the RAM channel, and yeah, you know, there's no secret ARG stuff in the dev files. I wish there was. People are gonna look anyways, but there isn't. So you're just gonna find boring stuff in there.
There's nothing interesting yet. That's not off the table. Like one day we may have like a killer, ultra kill level ARG, but
I decided against encrypting everything because I figured, whatever.
Oh, it's unencrypted. Yeah, there's not.
Well, it's not unencrypted. It's just a PCK. It's a package file, so it's, I don't know.
People can get into it if they want to, I guess. Yeah. That
There's
doesn't
nothing in
really.
there that's
There's
like-
nothing in there that's worth protecting. I agree.
Yeah.
It's chill. There's no lore.
The anti-lore game.
Actually, I think the flavor text that we patched out of the menu is still in the game file, so you could dig that up, I guess, if you wanted to. There's some lore, but there's no guarantee that that's going to be canon. Don't do the fucking Toby Fox thing on me and say like, oh, this unused asset from 7 years ago proves that Toby once wanted to do this. It's like the fact that it's unused is proof that he ultimately didn't want to do it. So I don't want to hear any of that shit. If the asset's not in the final game, I don't want to hear about it.
Designing a game with no lore. Rodrigo in chat, thank you for the laugh.
The impossible challenge. I'm pretty sure Vampire Survivors doesn't have lore. Does it have lore?
I think it has pretty deep lore, actually.
It does? What? How?
I
How do
don't
you
know.
learn it?
That game, there's so many secrets in that game, it's crazy.
Oh my god.
Like, you have to, like, fly off the levels and stuff with certain upgrades. And I don't know. I haven't played that much of it. It's a dangerous game for
oh yeah.
ending up not making my game.
I played it for 5 hours and I'm like, I'm never going to play this again. Like, this is going to just...
Chat asks, what the hell is Vampire Survivors? Save yourself. Don't look it up.
It's Germa's Game of the Year, apparently.
Tetris does have lore. I don't know if you've seen the Tetris game where there's, like, talking Tetris pieces.
I have not. I watched that one Tetris video essay someone posted in the Discord, which was, as far as I'm concerned, that's the real Tetris lore. It was fascinating. That fucking quote, Tetris the Grand Master demands that the player become a scientist, a theologian, and a martial artist. Fucking beautiful.
I feel like Tetris is definitely the best game ever made, right?
People talk it, yeah, it's like...
I don't think...
It's the only perfect game ever made, I think, is the...
Yeah,
resurrection.
exactly. Like, I think it's objectively, like, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, it's perfect, and the only way that you can make it imperfect is by, like, putting crust on it. You just, like, execute it imperfectly, but there's, like, a fundamental diamond underneath that you just have to uncover.
I'm excited for the meta layer commentary channels that will sprout up about RAM. So we'll have an ACDS, but for RAM.
That was cool. There's probably not going to be that much lore to warrant.
No, there probably won't be. I'm more joking than anything.
Oh, I thought you were reading a chat message, actually.
No, people in chat are talking about lore and stuff, and I just thought it was funny that, you know, your videos are dissections of a game, and someone could end up dissecting our game.
It's possible. I'd love to see it.
Kind of like that Donkey clone video. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's really funny. All the people that make Donkey similar content, there's like a whole Donkey sphere.
It's just like the angry video game nerd back in the day.
Yeah, exactly.
Irate gamer. I hope that...
It's that old period of YouTube.
I hope that we can take the story in this game as something that's worth thinking about a little bit. I don't have any grand aspirations
absolutely.
to make it a masterpiece, but it should be fun at least.
I definitely have some ideas for it, and I think the Hades nature of it will be fun.
Yeah. Because I aspire to one day make very, like, story-heavy RPG type games, it's just... that's not really... Doesn't seem like the best move
that's
for
a
a
second
first
game.
project. That's a second, that's a third game,
That's when you have a publishing deal.
Yes, and reliable sources of assets, and a team of people who you've worked with and know what they can do, and all that stuff.
More than 11 wish lists on Steam.
Not a first project at all. Which is kind of incredible how, like, Toby Fox did that as his first project, but we won't talk about that. I have entered the Wheelbot flow state. Holy shit.
This game has that flow. I love it.
It does have that flow. More upgrade. Oh fuck. This whole world is doomed. I love how broken that upgrade is. Holy shit. JoJo reference. Very cool. I do like me a footwork scheduler. Look at that. You can just go. Wah, wah, wah. I don't think pressurized hose is working as intended.
Will RAM come out before Silksong? There's a chance.
There's always a chance. When Silksong is involved, there's always a chance.
Yeah, I feel like some of the upgrades definitely don't do what they're either supposed to do or
the upgrades were slapped
aren't as
in,
effective as they were.
Right, they were the last thing we fixed before the
They
demo
were
went
so
out.
broken.
We cut a lot of them too, the ones that were too hard to fix. Sometimes we just cut them. Upgrade sound is loud? Yeah, it's true. That one actually may be not on the right sound effects bus, because I have the volume turned down.
Oh, interesting. Let me check. It should be. I thought I went through every single audio stream player and changed them all.
It might also just be really loud, who knows. The audio balance.
I mean, you gotta think it's layering the same sound however many clouds you have of the explosion, so it can be multiplied like 100 times.
No, the clouds are fine. I think they mean like the literal like upgrade gap. Like that sound.
Oh!
That's very loud.
I'm gonna launch it.
I'm proud to say that's a sound that I personally designed. I did not make very many sounds, but I avoid it when I can, but that's when I did.
I'm pretty happy overall with the sound design for what it is.
Yeah, we've been getting good stuff.
Tom did a good job.
From Tom, yeah. I think the explosions, is it just me or are the explosion sounds like randomized somewhat? Like it feels like...
They're pitched, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the menu buttons. They have a random pitch applied to them, so they're slightly different each time. Because I didn't think hearing the same thing over and over would be fun.
Yeah, that's true. I think that some of them would be better suited to like different explosions. I found it kind of hard. I guess I've gotten used to it, but like going from the original like super basic sound effects, like it was hard to read the action because I was so used to like listening for things, and I couldn't tell what explosions were what anymore, and that was surprisingly like kind of throwing me off.
You are right, by the way. It is on the master bus.
Ah, thank you. You found a bug, chat member.
Well done.
You can see the the combat may be starting to get a little bit boring by now. It has its limitations in its current state.
I mean, for what it was supposed to be, I think it worked fairly well.
I think
Because,
this meets
30 minutes to an hour,
goal,
have some fun.
This is the point. Yeah, you play for an hour, and then you're done with the demo. That was sort of the goal.
Lots of controller support. That's actually on our Kanban board. I've been wanting to do that for a while, so eventually there will be controller support. And in terms of how that'll work with the swapping, I don't think it'll be that bad. It'll just be like hold down a button and then based on how you push your cursor, it'll auto-select kind of. There is already some auto-aim on the cursor as it is. It sucks towards enemies.
Yeah, it gets sucked in. Maybe hard.
Oh.
I never play games on controller, so I'm like the worst possible person to talk to you about controller ports. Like I neglected them until I'm absolutely forced to think about them. So
I think about it from an accessibility perspective too,
Yeah,
because there's so many controllers that are gonna use those inputs, so more people can try it. But I mean, there's even limitations with it currently. Like you can't rebind the attack and the special buttons right now. They're bound to the mouse buttons, and that's just a limitation of how we've implemented the controls with Godot. So those will be changed eventually too. But yeah, controller support is definitely an idea, and probably will be. Yeah, it probably will be in the next demo or whatever we release.
Just to be spiteful, I'm gonna put one of those messages that comes up where it's like, this game is best experienced with the gamepad, and it's always a lie. I'm gonna do like, this game is best experienced on a mouse and keyboard. I'll be the first person in history to have a game that says that.
Remnant says there's also the Xbox accessibility controller that will let anybody to play the game, and that's exactly what I mean. It's having access to those controllers, and PlayStation just announced their own, which I'm assuming will work with PC as well. So, you know, the more accessibility, the better. That's something that I think is really important, especially for indie games. I like Game Maker's Toolkit does a lot of stuff on that, and I think they prioritize showing games that do accessibility well, and I think that's really important. And once we have more of the game down, that's something that I want to make sure we're baking in, like, you know, being able to change the font style and colors and all that kind of thing. Having it be colorblind friendly.
Yeah. check it out, I've unlocked Bouncy Wheelbot with the right combination of upgrades. It's now a Tigger.
Oh yeah, nice.
I have like the low acceleration top gear and then the super recoil, so I'm just like, the recoil's become immense.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of accessibility, but not at the expense of the game necessarily. Like I don't think that necessarily like Dark Souls or Elden Ring needs an easy mode, but it should be like if you want to experience the game, you should be able to play it. But the game's not going to change. You should be able to play it as without those hindrances or whatever. You know what I mean? Like
So what
you
you're
should
saying
have
is
options.
You don't recognize being bad at the game as a disability.
Yeah, basically. I mean, as long as you are able to handle the inputs, I think that's good. I don't know. I think the more people that can play a game, the better, and I don't want to gatekeep that.
Yes.
Will the game have an assist mode like Celeste and Mario Odyssey then? There's a chance. I don't know. We haven't really talked about it. That's kind of, again, more future. It's something that I think would be great.
Yet, because we don't even have the default difficulty set yet. Like, we don't even have the real game set yet, so there's no point doing difficulty settings.
What's the artistic vision with the game's music? We have a composer working on it, one of my good friends, and we have some inspirations. We want to try and make it kind of Doom meets Risk of Rain meets Metroid kind of vibes.
It's been actually very hard to articulate. I've never worked with really musicians before in terms of like getting tracks and communicating what you want, and it's really fucking hard. Like I didn't anticipate how hard it would be to communicate about these kind of abstract ideas. Because I do a bit of music myself, so I have like my own kind of concepts of like what could sound like what, but I don't want to enforce that too much if there's another person doing it. So it's like
having art that is specific to the game will help a lot with it.
As
like
a visual
proper
reference.
aesthetic. Yeah, Hades does have an easy mode. That's a good point. There'll be some sort of, there'll be options for that. I'm pretty sure that won't be too bad to implement.
Okay, Ordeal has given permission to mention their involvement in the project, so I can say straight up that yes, Ordeal from the Discord server has been working with us on some assets, and they've made some. They're sort of leading the charge in terms of the visual aesthetic now. So we've got some concept art. We're both a really big fan of their like kind of unique visual style for things. So
yeah.
Once what I was going to say out of that though is that I kind of got distracted, but showing off visual references like that, showing off some of that concept art to the composer, I think will help a lot, because that's like, this is what the game's actually supposed to look like. We have a vibe now. It's not just like an abstract concept. Oh, I'm dead.
Yeah, it's interesting, like the fact that the songs that are in this demo actually were from the jam, and I feel like they really do fit the energy that we want, I think is cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Will the game have the same goddamn leitmotif in the same fucking song? I hope it'll have a leitmotif or two in the end. That would be fun.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
The in-joke for You Have Passed Away. Toby, can you explain that? I literally don't even remember what the joke was with that.
It's a pretty deep cut, and it's also an in-joke, so it might not be funny to other people. I mean, it's just something that friends and I would say when you're like, oh, pass me away, like, oh, I'm gonna pass away, or that type of thing. Like, instead of like, kill me, it's like, oh, pass me away, or like, oh, I'm gonna pass away.
It's not,
and it's just a funny way of saying you died.
Right? It's just like something, some meme.
Like, oh, they passed away. It's just kind of like a weird, kind of funny way of saying that they died. So I was like, oh, you have passed away is kind of a funny death screen, and it was in the demo, and so it's in here. That probably won't be what it is forever, but it's kind of funny.
Probably not. No.
But yeah, it's just kind of like a joke of like a funny thing to say. It's like, I don't know, everyone has those little things you say. Another one that I like is like, oh, I'm really sour about that. I think that's a funny thing to say, like, oh, that guy's sour.
You're gonna get pogged out of your gourd like Northern Lion?
Absolutely gourded.
Yeah, I think that quick draw bonus should not stack with collateral damage bonus. That doesn't really make that much sense.
Yeah.
I say to myself, because I'm the one who programmed it to do like that.
Passed away, you glad I didn't say banana? Oh no.
Fucking JD. I don't even need to look at chat, that was JD.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a confusing death message, but I think it's just
I hope
random.
I hope JD is satisfied with the fact that his stint of glorious Wheelbot gameplay in the Patreon credits there. I patched the game so that JD could only spawn as a Wheelbot, because obviously...
I figured you did that, that's great.
I kept... because I originally didn't, and I kept doing takes, and like, well, that was alright, but it would have been funnier if JD was a Wheelbot, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm just gonna make it so that JD's a Wheelbot.
If name equals JD,
I had an earlier take of the
spawn.
credits where JD, he like slew Call Me Carson. It was really funny, but I had to scrap that along with like 50 other takes, so...
Yeah, I can't believe how much you would have had to play to figure that out and get it recorded. It works really well, though.
It was goofy, yeah. It was my own fault, though. I said, like, I just, like, I was stressing about getting the devlog out, I wasn't really thinking straight, and I was just, like, making all these stupid programming bugs that made the names not display correctly, and, it was just a bad time overall, but... Oops, not EVL 0. Are we losing viewers yet? We're down to 50 viewers. People might be getting sick of this.
Down. Probably.
Are you thinking...
I would be.
Yes. Are you out of things to say, Toby? Do you think we've gone over enough here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything specific to say. I think we've talked about everything. If anyone has more questions, I'm happy to answer them. But also, you know, drop by the Discord channel. I'll be in there chatting if you want to talk to developer and ask questions and stuff. And there's a feedback channel in there. There's a bug report channel. So if you find any more bugs, definitely let us know. Although there'll be more implemented, I'm sure, before we fix all of them. So.
Oh yeah.
Is the stream ending potentially? Yeah,
I think it is now. Yeah, this was just going to be a little short demo. Like, I can't just keep doing this for 5 hours and expect it to be entertaining, right? So there's not enough content in the game, and I think we've been over most of the interesting topics to talk about so far. Mook's made fan art for the game. Oh my god. Okay.
I'm stoked on that.
Well, let's see about that. I think. Oh no, I've got the mini music after all.
Fan art is encouraged.
Let me crank that actually.
And ideas. I mean, honestly, if you have funny ideas, stick them in there. You never know what we'll use.
You never know.
It's not game fan art, it's developer fan art. Okay.
I wonder what that means. Oh my god, what is that? Okay.
Is it in arts and crafts?
It's in arts and crafts. That's funny. Okay. I'll open it.
Oh, that's awesome. Thoughts on Umris?
Has designed
no.
Oh, Umris. Oh god. It's very funny.
I thought the rightful ending won. That was my favorite.
My favorite, I have to say, was actually Outsins, but his got completely decimated by the critics, so what can you do? Yeah, so...
That is hilarious.
Mooks has drawn an OC for Toby. The fucking...
boy.
The Peaky Blinder Ant-Man.
That is so funny.
Hilarious, actually. Thank you, Mooks. That's
he needs like a little coat with a little pocket watch.
You heard it here first. Why don't you just go commission a whole persona while you're at it, Toby? Just make that a DM conversation.
Dangerous. Very awesome, thank you.
Umris bot when? No, don't tempt me. It's like handing Gandalf the Ring of Power. Don't tempt me, Frodo.
Actually, I have a question for chat. What does everyone think of the thumbnail? That was something we talked a lot about, and it was Andrew's idea. And it's hard to come up with a thumbnail for a weird concept like this.
Or it's hard to come up with a thumbnail for a game without unique assets that you made. Is the funny things. I felt like I had to like take the shotgun sprites and make them into something like weird. Thumbnail
okay, people like it.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I keep saying it looks like an album cover. Like, it's unclear what the fuck it means, but it looks cool. So.
Yeah, swap kill die. I really wanted it to be swap kill repeat, but it didn't fit.
Yeah. You have to.
That's also probably a little bit too close to that Tom Cruise movie, Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh, is it? I've never seen it. That whole movie is just a ripoff of video games anyway. We have the right to plunder it for intellectual property.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, that's probably good enough for now. We could ramble on for another 10 years, and I'm sure there's going to be 400 messages in the server already that have built up while I did this.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no
Thanks,
problem,
chat,
Cody.
for being so friendly.
Thanks for coming on. You were actually a great asset to the stream. It was much better. We had a better flow once you came in, I think.
Yeah, sorry to come in late, but we'll do it again sometime, I'm sure.
Yes, and for now, next thing for me on the plate is I'm gonna go back to probably making another like Deltarune video. Honestly, I can't. I gotta keep that fire stoked, I guess. And Toby's gonna be He's gonna be kind of leading development for a while I'm doing that.
Yeah, we're gonna have a chat about the next steps and then where we're going. Don't forget to wishlist the game on Steam.
Oh yeah. And okay, I'll see you all later. Probably next week for a stream of some sort. And goodbye.